Hey guys, it's another episode of Minding Your Biz, the podcast. In this episode, we're talking about which one are you? Are you relational or are you a person that you get right to the point? Are you more transactional? All right, guys, this is your girl, Miss Fab Financial, and this is another episode of Minding Your Biz, the podcast and the YouTube channel. And we are talking about behavior styles, management styles.
That's right.
Which one are you? Are you relational? Right? Are you taking the time? Do you do the greetings? Are you like, hey, good morning? Or are you a business transactional person? Do you get right to the point? So I'm joined here with my co-host,
Dr. Blackwell. What's
Dr.
up, y'all?
Blackwell.
And I'm excited, though, because we are now on Apple.
That's right,
It
y'all.
took me months to figure out why I couldn't get the episode on
Is
Apple.
he more relational?
I was like all on this customer support. But they was really helpful. Both the who we use, Red Circle and Apple, was like, hey, Red Circle got to do this. They like Red Circle, like Apple got to do this. I'm like, all right.
Nice. So
But
we
we
out
are
there.
on there,
We
yep.
are on all the
The
podcasts.
platforms.
So
We on Spotify.
That's right.
I gotta
Get us.
upload all the audio, but we on there. We on Spotify, everything. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. We being serious with this, y'all.
That's right. Right.
So we talking about relationships.
Yeah.
Well-
Building relationships as a senior business owner, right? It's a part of growing your business, right? Identifying different behavior styles or personality styles. For me personally, I've had to figure this out, but I realize I'm very transactional, right?
How did you figure that out?
Well, because
Sounds like a good story.
right, I realized that some things were annoying to me. Like I would be like, I don't need the good morning. Like, what
Right.
is it that you want? Just get to it.
Right.
Right. So I realized that, like, the people like, listen, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. I don't need the setup. I don't need like the prequel. Just
Right.
give me the meat and potatoes.
Right.
I don't even need the potatoes. Just give me the meat. What is that? What is it that you want from me? And it's always been like a time thing. And I was like, no, that's a part of my personality. And then I started looking at some of my emails, and I'm also in a mastermind, right? And Eric Thomas himself said, you're a little transactional. And so, and I've gotten that. Some people say, I used to be
Be
cold.
like, yo, E, I need to.
I was cold, or I was this. And I was like, dang, I'm not cold. I feel like I'm such a happy, nice person. But I'm transactional. I'm like to the point. And sometimes when you're too one thing, it could be to your detriment. So I was like, okay. I started looking through all my emails. I don't have a good morning. I don't have a how are you. I don't even have a greetings. It's like, hey, comma, I need you to do this. Even my team, when I'm in the Vonage in the chat, they're like, hey, we need this. I'm like, no, yes, here it is. It's like 3 sentences. It's like, it's very, I'm answering the question.
Right.
I don't give you a lot of fluff. So I was like, okay, let's try to figure this out here, because relationships matter, right? Building relationships, connecting with people can also help you grow your business. If you sell a product or a service, right? The service, the relationship, why people want to keep coming back to you is sometimes you're the factor. So it's like, well, if you really don't build a relationship or a connection with your team and your clients, then it really kind of puts a roadblock or almost like a barrier from them to connect with you, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of us do very similar things, but sometimes the difference maker is you, right? When people say, that Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they also check in savings and checking accounts. The difference is the banker, the person that comes in and says, hey, how are you? So I was like, okay, I got to say a little, hey, how are you? I got to add a little sprinkle to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, though, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think you just got to kind of know who you are and like really kind of hone in there. But that it doesn't keep you from like trying to do better if you feel like it's something bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I have definitely gone into rooms and not done or networked more than I should have because I was like, I don't feel like talking to people. I don't feel like the small talk, right? But part of the small talk is building those relationships that could open a door for me for another situation. You know what I mean? So I think as you grow in business, you definitely need that self-identify. We talk about that a lot on this podcast. We a podcast.
Gotta know yourself. Gotta know yourself.
Definitely have to know yourself.
Accountability.
Self-identify who you are.
This probably should be the accountability show.
Right. And add a little bit so you can connect more, because that's what it is. And it's not like, completely changing yourself. It's identifying that, like, my team may require more of me, right?
But, I think from watching you the past few years, I know you're transactional, but I think, like, I still think, in a sense, you still, like, connect with people. And I think it's just, like, your ability to just be movable and, like, have fun, which breaks down barriers for people. You know what I mean?
For sure. But
like, it's not like people are afraid to come up to you.
No, for sure. Sometimes,
you know what I mean?
but I think it's times. Like if I'm at an event and I'm speaking, I've already put my head on that I have to be a little relational. That I have to be like,
okay.
But when I take it off,
does that mean you putting on for the people?
It's not putting on, but no, it's like Beyonce. I be like, I'm Sasha Fierce right now. I got lights, camera, action. I got to turn it on.
Like, I'm in the mode.
I'm in the moment.
That's
I got to shake the hands. Hey,
right.
how are you?
Kiss the baby.
You can take a selfie.
That's
All
right.
right. But
Right.
then I probably got like 20 minutes.
And I'm shutting down.
I'm done. I can't.
Go to the car.
Please. I'm not the person that after an event or after something and I'm there for hours, just like taking pictures, talking, blah. Tiati is that person. He could do it all night. I'll be like, aren't you hungry? Like the children, it'll be,
my wife be.
He could do it all day. That doesn't drain him at all.
I guess I was trying
And
to
that's
think
why people
about,
connect with him more. Like they're
Right.
like, see, is this, he's that,
I was trying to think like I feel like I just always been like that though. I've always built relationships with people. And I think it was when I was in the Army that I realized how beneficial it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like notice that's what I always did. But when I got into the Army, I realized how beneficial it was because, when you first get in, I was enlisted, so we was low ranking. But I used to always be able to get anything I needed or wanted.
Yeah.
But I would take the time to go into like the higher ups, if anybody military, battalion, brigade, and sit and talk with the people that's there. So if whatever it is that I needed or we needed as a company, I would just be able to like go get it. But
yeah, I want those people on my team that have built those relationships. I initially don't want to put in that time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I just be like, can I just pay you? Like, let's just, like, what is it? But some people are like, no, I don't want to do business unless I know your values, unless I know who you are. Yeah. And I do get that. But then, on the opposite side of the coin, you don't want to be so relational that you are then not monetizing on your time, because that is an investment that you're pouring in to get to know someone or to build or connect, and you don't have anything yet to show for it. You're like,
but that's the thing. I don't think a relational person could not monetize on a relationship. I can't think of not one time I spent too much time on somebody. Now, what I can say is because I'm relational, I know I've like hired somebody, and because of my personality being relational, right? I'm thinking that I could probably speak to this person a certain way or groom this person a certain way, or I see something in this person that's probably really not in them. But at the end of the day, because I hired you and I'm paying you, it's quite transactional in a sense.
right.
So there's a fine line of like me trying to build relationships with people because that's the type of culture I want, and like feeding through that. So me being relational has helped me like learn to kind of slow down a little bit. Like I'll be cautious in the beginning. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's not ever like built fruit. It's literally like planting a tree. You have to like plant that seed. You have to water it.
And hope that it's going to bear fruit for you. So sometimes I can see it is a slower process.
It's a slower process. And I think it makes for like stickier business.
Yeah.
So like studying the Rockefellers, there was one thing that, and I learned this probably the best industry to learn it with, the good old boys with the insurance side. But they're like sticky like that. And so, it was this report that came out of like how John Rockefeller used to have a Rolodex of like people that he would meet.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would take the time to like, he'll be like, oh, okay, this is Farrah. She's married, got 2 kids.
Right.
Her, son's TJ, daughter's
Right.
London.
Yeah.
So every time he see you, it's like, hey,
how's the kids? How's London?
And so it makes him seem like, you know what I mean? And it's going, even if you're transactional, I feel like when you do that, it's going to make you stop and be like, well, they doing good, or da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
and it breaks that bread easier.
For
and
sure.
I definitely think it makes for stickier business.
Yeah.
So if you are or if you're not relational and you try to go into it, it might be a little bit frustrating because it is it's a long haul game you playing. But I think it makes for stickier business because if you get into jams, like I can think about it like even this year where we was just kind of a little bit all over the place with taxes, wasn't really responding too fast with people, and I'm normally not like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I get in there and say, hey, my bad, we had some issues. Not that it goes away, but it makes it a little easier because I feel like almost every one of my clients I know in some sense. You know what I mean? Like we built the, you know what I mean? And someone might be like, well, let me let me get this because it is. I'll be like, it's all good.
And you know what? It's crazy because, we have a very similar story, but a lot of it was like, hey, you guys your company has never operated in this light before, right? So I do get a little bit of both because I think that the business stands up and has a reputation on its own outside of the ownership. That also is building a different type of relationship. Is building expectations for the company that it has good practices and that they're reliable versus the ownership. So I think having a little bit of both is definitely helpful. But I can see the relational person becoming kind of frustrated in the process. And it's like, hey, if this is your personality type, it's a longer game, a longer stretch
play.
For sure. But you do need to kind of have some transactions in play to go, okay, well, when is this going to yield beneficial to me?
For
right?
sure.
When is this going to yield fruit for me? Because you don't want to then turn it into long suffering.
You don't want to be used.
For sure.
And being so I'm relational, so it has its cons to it.
For sure.
But because I've been at it for so long and I do
you learn how to adjust
self-accountability and I know myself. And so now I do it. I'm still that person. I can't turn that off. But now I have the ability to kind of recognize the other person better. You know what I mean?
Or probably add some boundaries in there.
Right, right. And it'll be like, no, listen, we cool, but this invoice, right? We cool, but do what I say, right?
Yeah.
If I'm advising, right? Like we cool, but and it's twofold because I remember it's probably bad because I remember when when I first moved here and I was just so hurt that I had lost like 2 clients, but it'd be because I'd be building like
the relationship,
slick attachments to them. So
yeah.
and it for me, it wasn't that I lost 2 clients and I was concerned about the pay. It was just the fact that I lost 2 clients.
You're like, dag,
I'm like, nah, I'm like, what you mean? Like we could, you know what I'm saying? Like we could fix.
Yeah.
I'm like, we could fix this, but on some ends, it's just is what it is. But one of those clients, and here's what I also learned about it too, is like sometimes like if it's a thing, if it's for you, it's for you. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is like one of the clients, I had we developed like a more personal relationship. But what happened was he was caught up in so this was at the time where, like before he was like really doing business, I was doing his taxes, all this other stuff, whatever. But we were kind of close. So we were playing that credit game, you like authorized user, this, that, and the third.
Right.
And so what happened was I was an authorized user. I've never told this story publicly. I was an authorized user on one of his credit cards.
Right.
And what happened was somebody hacked my account which got into one of his
That's
cars because
correct.
I didn't ever have
A
like
physical car.
right?
Sure,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so because he and I both had been in this previous situation where people be running scams, like, oh, sign up for this, do this, by people we knew, he thought that that's the type of time I was on.
Right.
And I was like, no, bro. I was like, I had to get a whole new like situation, bank account, all this and the third, right? And so it was a situation where, you know, they took money. I didn't know how they took the money, had to put it back. I ended up paying them back. But throughout that period, my only concern was to just protect my character.
For sure.
Because I'm like, that's
and maybe
not,
salvage the relationship.
Right.
You feel like that's not who I am as a person.
And if at least you're gonna walk away and we're not gonna talk, I would accept that, knowing that you know that's still not me.
That's not the type of time I was.
You know
on.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's not the type of person I am. That's not the type of time I was on. And what was so crazy was because I had built relationship and helped them out. When I ended up talking to him like face to face, and I was just like, "Look, bro, like this ain't what it was. Like this, I'm telling you what happened with me. You know, end up paying him the money back just because it was the right thing to do. It was money that was taken from him, whatever." And he was like, you know, my wife was gonna still come back for you for touch. She was like, because he helped me, and that's like having that divide of like building good relationships. Because I care more about how the people. You know, I just care more about the people than I do about the money.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, your point is very much so relevant because you can't be so relational that you stay broke. It's not benefiting you.
Or you don't have the
way.
business kind of formed out, right? And so sometimes when people get into relationships with people that they know, they don't talk about the business.
Yeah.
Because
it's like we just in business.
Right.
You cool.
Right. Let's
That's
just go into
right. We'll figure it out.
So then the business part never gets talked about. No one ever really irons out what we're doing here in business. What part do you have? What part do I have?
Right.
Let's talk about the money. And I'm usually never afraid with it. Even our conversation, I'm like, well, how much is this and how much I'm paying for it? And let's do it again. Tell me again, because I might not, you know X, Y, and Z. So you can't be afraid to have the conversation.
You gotta know each other because we're very clear in that. It'd be like, look, we gotta pay this for this. This is what we did. This is what I did. And you know, and I think that's a detriment. That's another con to some people who might be relational because sometimes you take stuff too personal.
Yeah.
And it's really not. It's just what's the facts. Like we got to pay a bill or we got to do a situation.
Yeah.
You owe this amount. I owe this amount. Right. But I feel like relationships get you.
Or people are like, well, you should know me. You know, they get into that kind of personal thing. It's like it's business. What's the transaction here? So I get why sometimes people set up those boundaries and make it transactional because people get really caught up in their feelings, and then now we can't do business.
You can't do business.
Right? You're so clouded by what I said or what I didn't say. You can't take the criticism. I can't take whatever is happening here. We're tooling our feelings and getting too emotional here about it.
And that's the flip side to it too, because on the relationship side, like relationship is like old school credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, go down to the store, tell Ms. Molly I need 2 turkeys. And because
it was based on that relationship.
We got her on Friday. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like that to the T. If I can build that with a person, you know, and I slow walk it. You know what I'm saying? I slow walk it.
I think that's the best thing to do. I think the best thing when you get in a relationship with people is to slow walk it. Be very clear about the expectations.
The biggest thing about it is you have to have good character for it. Like, for example, even with this, like when we came in here, started working with David. You know what I'm saying? Like I speak for me. Like I knew him, you know what I'm saying? From like when he recorded some of the stuff that y'all did.
Yeah.
But I ain't know him. So then I come over here and I'm like, hey, we trying to do this, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm telling you, I'm like, I think it's the perfect setup. Maybe come look at it. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, let's go. David, cool. I ain't need to research. Like, I ain't got to go on Google. That's why I say I know David work. Like,
in the beginning, it wasn't that I didn't doubt him. It was just, I just have to slow walk relationships. So it was like, in the beginning, it's like, all right, cool. This is clear. This is what it is. This is how much we going to charge. This is blah, 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 blah. And we were like very, very, very,
Transactional.
And consistent with it. But I think over time, because of our character, because we're not flaky, because it's consistent, like we still here, that relationship ends up building.
For sure.
Certain things.
Because everyone gets a kind of attachment to the project, to the growth.
To the process.
You start building kind of almost a business relationship, right? Because if tomorrow, let's say for whatever reason, we decided to record somewhere else, do we still reach out to these guys? Are they now your friends, right? Or was it just business? Was it just transactional? So sometimes people are like, no, the business deal or that season is over. We're not friends.
And sometimes it's, like I said, I think it's just a person. Like I see these little
How do you
clips.
handle that, though? Like if someone was like, oh, our contract is done, we're over. It's a wrap. And you were like, I thought we were going to be friends.
Well, I don't think I ever been that deep into it. And in certain situations that I've been in, there's always like...
Because there's some people, even in our mentorship, that'll be like...
You know, if I'm really being... I have to be...
They'll be like, what you... they'll text
I got you.
like,
I got you.
We're not friends.
I got you. Like, I see you Monday night at 6:30.
Right.
But the thing is, I'm really kind of weird. Maybe it's just me, but because of how I grew up and the things that I dealt with, just being transparent with just like my dad, I've always been a person to I don't expect nothing from people. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, I make people slick shock me that's why I slow walk it still. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I gotta reel it back in. But I don't expect nothing from people. So if somebody was to do something like that, like, oh, you just cut, I would have an expectation like of no expectation. Yeah. So it wouldn't necessarily bother me. But watching him, somebody like my dad, helps me understand like how people be. You have to really be, if you're a relationship type of person, I think it makes you more of a that's good. I think it makes you more of a people watcher. Most transactional people be so transactional, like I might be like, you ain't see, you be like, no, I ain't noticed because I was in, I was out.
That's right.
But some relationships, and I'm not saying it's a one size fit all, but most relationship people I would expect, I'm just basing it based off how I am. You kind of really peep game, you watch. And so it'd be easier for you to see certain characteristics of people to know how to place them. Yeah. And so and I had to learn that with my dad.
And I think a little bit of that is not that you don't necessarily peep it, but you're
just like locked in
because you're still in the transaction. Right. What can be done? Almost an opportunist, but not to the point of of bad, right? But you're still looking at the transaction. What is this here? What are we doing here? So I think, as you grow in business, you definitely want to figure out who you are, right? And go, I probably need a little bit of that. Like this is my season, right? I'm trying to be a better leader, and being a better leader means that
you definitely got it.
I gotta be more relational. I gotta be like, hey Alex, how's the family? How are you feeling? Yeah. Right? Like, so Leslie is out. She's sick. And I got to be like, we got to send her flowers, right? Alex, send her flowers. You know what I mean? Like,
send her,
Alex, Leslie's been with us for a while. You know what I mean? For at least 4 years.
But I definitely be concerned. I'll be
I might not say it, but I'll say, Alex, reach out. How are they doing? Do a temperature check, right? Or I'll say,
That's funny. You are too transactional.
I'm very transactional. I have to note because I just be focus on the thing, and it's like she's such a robot, and then I'm like, okay, let me.
The beauty about that though is you really, it might be time consuming a little bit, but you really kind of only need to do that as a leader, as a CEO, to build a leadership with your leadership team a sense. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna. When we talking about building business, how we build businesses and talking about how we're going to do it, your leadership team is going to be an extension of you who actually runs the business.
Or offset from me. Like literally.
So you will want to be more
almost a little bit
of
everything that I'm not. Like I'm saying, you need to touch out. You need to be the heart. I may not be the heart.
But you got to show your leadership
you may
team.
Be the heart in
you
that.
You got to care for the leadership team so that they're not coming off transactional and you guys can connect, because being relational is how you learn a lot of stuff.
For sure.
I can't tell you how. I mean, I can build them quick. I walk in there and people just
Because Tiati
tell me their whole life story.
He's went to all the dinners. He'll be like, EPS is coming in town. We can go to dinner.
Yeah.
So-and-so's going to town. We go to dinner.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, you go ahead and go to dinner. But now it's like, you got to go to dinner with them. So the last 2 years, it's like, you got to sit down. And we went to dinner. We networked and we pop it up. You know, just.
And you know what's crazy? You never understand how impactful it is. It's like paying for insurance. You never know
when you're going to need it.
When you're going to need it.
No, for sure.
It's literally like paying for insurance. You be like, man, I'm wasting time. I got to pay car insurance, life. But when you die or if you get into an accident.
You're going to be like, I'm so glad I paid that car insurance.
We got full coverage too. They replacing the whole situation. And I got a rental. Come here. You know what I'm saying? So
listen, that's what I'm cashing in on a lot of Tiati's relationships.
I'm telling you.
Thank you, Tiati, for your, because it's been like.
It goes a long way. When you build relationships like that, people look out for, you know, like your family. You just can't be so blindsided, like, you know, not to bring.
And I'm focused. And my relationship or how I do it is to provide you the solution for whatever is ailing you. Mm-hmm. I'm not the friend that you want to call even to complain about your man cheating on you. I can take but so much of that. I'll be like, okay, no, what we doing? You going back with him or not? Like, let me help you transition to the other side. I'm not that friend. They know that. They like,
no, I just want to.
You got
going to Ruth Chris.
You got 2.2 to vent. You got 2.2. I may give you 3, but you got 2.2 to vent, and then I'm like, okay,
oh my
so
God, that's how kids.
What's next? You vented. I get it. You frustrated. What's the next step? How can I help you? Do you need a funnel? Do you need how can I help you? Are you going to turn this into content? I can get you a landing page.
Oh, my God.
What is happening?
We about to make money.
We could make the money because, girl, when you got money, it's going to turn upside down, girl. Because I don't know how to. I'll listen for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, all right, well, I have to go.
But I mean, people need that. It's the difference between.
Call her tomorrow, because not me.
Yeah.
Because I'm solution. I've always been solution based, and that's just how I am. I don't like being uncomfortable and sitting in weird spaces. So either it's this or that. So that's how I am, and it's been really it's a learning. It's been such a growth year. It's been such a growth year. It's been such a growth year, and I'm appreciative of it. It's really pushing me, and I'm like, yes, I'm more mindful of it.
Yeah,
like say good morning.
It goes a long
How are you?
way.
My last email, I was so proud of myself.
Because when you need stuff, you'll be able to get it.
He got back to me like
quick.
He was like, no problem.
I was
like, I hope your summer is this much needed rest is high. I was like, and
so imagine.
I can't believe I had to waste an extra 2 minutes writing these extra 2 sentences.
But imagine spending a little care in that, right, and performing, right. I mean, that's
going to be the difference maker for sure.
It's you definitely above the rest
for
like,
sure.
If somebody they're gonna be like, no, let me this, and that's it. You know, and I think for
because I'll be on the phone with you for hours about strategy and business. Right. Like there's some of my partners that I'm like, let's pull up the tax return. Let me help you.
Yeah.
What's going on with the client?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the client this. Yeah. That's my solution for you.
Yeah.
But I can't be on the phone with you talking about a nothing burger. Like, I don't know. I'm nervous to talk to the people or okay, so this is what you say. Do this to the people. Get your mail list, get your email list, get your let's talk about the solution. So
you definitely gotta have.
But I'm trying. This is a growth year. I'm definitely doing a lot better, especially identifying it because I was really proud of my email. Then I said, "Hey, Ann, do the same thing with Ralph and use the same tone." Well, what Ann did was just copy what I did.
For sure.
And Ralph was like, "No problem. I found it. Thanks, guys. I'm having a great summer." He was like, "And my summer is good." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, we going back to TBG just so you know.
Hey, Ralph.
But I mean, I'm telling you, it's never like really burned me. And when I thought it did, it was just me. It was the person.
Yeah.
And I'm needing to be more aware of the people that I'm dealing with.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And certain situations, you know what I'm saying? Like, so my dad used to say all the time to me, like, he was like, you want to pay attention to like, whatever happens to you, no matter who you dealing with, whether it's family or not. He was like, because the same type of people that's in your family, you're going to run into them same type of people in the street.
Yeah.
So, you take heed to that. And boy, did it. It's a good lesson, even from him. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, he's very transactional. But the thing about him is, which is some people, he's like slick with it because he'll make you think it's a relationship, but it's really transactional. And you have to be cautious with people like that.
Matter of fact,
my relationship.
Alex do her nudge.
Right.
Nudge. Because people was like, you guys, we send out a reminder every day.
Yeah.
Alex is going through all the CRM people like, hey, I'm here, and they are like, we really appreciate the nudge. Even if we don't need it, we know that you're always there for us. It's like a check-in.
That's the challenging part for me as a leader, because now that I'm so clear on where we're going, like I done talked to the bankers. I done talked to the people about, which I think we're supposed to talk about this in the next episode. But anyway, clear on like what we're trying to do as a firm. So it's making me more aware of how I'm growing into leadership with my team.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, listen, we gotta send touch points. And it becomes so frustrating because I know that I can't be the person to say, like, F it, I'm gonna just do it. I can't do it. But I gotta teach some of that, because that's what goes a long way with clients.
For sure,
especially
it does.
when they're like when it's not a transactional, not that I treat annual tax clients as transactional, but when they're with you, you know what I'm saying? It's like we gotta send touch points, the little reminders, the little, like, we gotta stay on top of certain stuff like that, communicating.
It definitely does. For us, it helps with retention. Right. So the person who's paying the monthly subscription are like, oh, you don't want them to cancel, discontinue, because they don't see value in the service anymore. So a part of that is the touch points. It's the relationship. It's it's the heartbeat, right? So I'm like, Alex, don't forget, and sometimes we kind of shut off some of the automatic messages because they were so random and strange. I kept saying, who is putting this in place? But they didn't want to physically keep typing. I said, just type it once and copy and paste. But that's not set up auto responders for every little thing. Right. Because it comes across too automated, too robotic, and it gets weird, right?
And that's some of the difficulties with some VAs, because you got to teach them how to be like.
Well, it's the automation though. It's the modernization and automation, right?
Yeah.
And
people too automated. With the quick.
Yeah. Just like, I know this ain't you.
As soon as you say, hey, it'd be like, I got the webinar, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bruh. I know you. I just said, what's up?
I just said, hey, in your DM. Or I lighted it. Thanks for liking my message.
Right.
Here's my new da-da-da-da-da. I'm like,
I'm about to text you now.
Right. It'll be an auto text message. When your friends and family text you.
Right.
I'm like, is there any person left out there? Or where are the people? Everyone's like automating.
I'm telling you, man. So I don't know, transactional relationship. I do know. I will stick with it all day. Really, I think relationships allow me to go deep.
Yeah. And longer.
Which allow me to go far.
Yeah.
So if I'm ever in a, and that's how I always think, like if I'm ever in a jam, if I ever need something, like who can I rely on to be like, you know what I'm saying? And that's just how I always think. Like if something was to ever happen, yo, Dave, we coming in there recording, but this, I had a little snag.
Yeah.
Let me do this day. And then and it keeps you honest, because it makes you be a man or a woman of your word.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it boils down to. I had a conversation with one of the people on my son's baseball team, and we was just so, I don't want to use the word heartbroken, but it was just like people just don't be men and women of their word no more.
No, for
it's like
sure.
If I say, you know what I'm saying? Like if I tell you next Friday, either I'm doing it next Friday or I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving you some type of communication. I'm not going to say nothing and just leave you in the wind or and that type of stuff matters, because I think it builds more relationship on my character, because now you think you will know I'm reliable. If you ever need something, you can reach out. And it's like that even with my clients. Like right now, we in the middle, we got to send 2 people, like bereavement flowers and stuff, because that's how close I know the client, her dad died.
That's how
her mom
and
died.
it worked in that regard, because Tiati was like the heart. He was the relational and I was the transactional. But him not being here the past 18 months, I'm like, oh my God. I'm just, sir.
Expose you to what
What?
you need.
I was like, I do not really, but
need
they
that.
do.
You gotta massage him a little bit.
And because
Some
he would be
people-
on the phone, he could. That's his job. You could be on the phone with them for 2 hours. Let me just execute what I need to do in the back end. So now I got to be on the phone with you for the 2 hours and do the execution. I don't have time for that. Lord help me. So
I was just telling somebody
Help me,
that, like,
please.
when you do stuff like that, though, you go in for the long haul. You know, I look at it like this: when you transact, a lot of people who are too transactional, right? Because I think you can change, but people who are too transactional, you can always tell because it's always like the next time I need a new client, I need to do this, I need to
right,
do
but
this,
they
I need to
become
do that.
well, and then it becomes really cold, too salesy, and and they seemingly just the opportunists.
But people
right?
who build relationships, it might take a little longer.
Yeah.
But when the check clear, it'd be a larger amount.
For sure. And I think, and it's marrying and finding the happy medium or adjusting or bringing people on your team to do the things that you can't do. That's what it's about. And so Tiati was one personality type. I was the other, and it worked. The people who I was attracted to were transactional like me.
Yeah.
Neither one of us wanted to like figure out what you wearing tomorrow, what you eating. We were like
boom, pull up.
That was done.
Yeah.
Tiati was similar. He's a really good way of marrying the two. And I was like, shoot, I need to do this. I need to do this. Of course, my holes were also exposed. I was like, oh God, I don't feel like talking to this person. I don't feel like talking. But I had to. And it's definitely growing me. So I think in business, it's identifying self.
Yeah.
Big
Gotta
time.
know yourself. That's if nobody get anything from our podcast.
It is accountability. Please be accountable for
gotta know yourself.
self-assessing. Yeah.
I'm telling you, might be the accountability. You got to.
We're gonna change it to accountability.
You gotta be. This the accountability.
This
show,
the accountability
you can't do nothing without it.
The year of accountability.
It is.
Yeah, that is the first.
That's probably
thing.
all we talking about.
At the end of the day, that's like the foundation. At the end of the day, that's the foundation because you cannot blame outside.
Because the more you
factors.
blame other people, you have to look at yourself to figure out like what.
And you can't change those. You can only change you, right? So, guys, whether you're relational or you're transactional, you got to figure out who you are, right? That's the first thing. Self-assessing who you are.
Are you transactional? Are you relationship? Does it benefit you to be more relational than transactional, or a little bit of both?
Which one? I'm definitely more transactional. He's more relational. Which one are you?
Yeah.
And
let us know in the comments.
marrying the two, so you can become a better, more profound business owner. Thank you for tuning in to Minding Your Biz. Please like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a
that
friend.
Bell. Don't forget to hit that bell.
Right? We a podcast now, y'all.
We
So
out
go to
here.
Apple, Spotify, download it.
Yep.
Leave
all
a comment.
I'm gonna have all the episodes up.
And what he say? What is his call? And see you
See you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.